flown by. So it's lovely to have your company this evening, or whatever time it is where you are. It's 5:30 p.m. here in the UK, and I'm streaming live tonight on TikTok and YouTube. So it's lovely to have your company, and today we're going to be doing watercolour with wax resist, and it's something that anybody, any age can do, any ability, it doesn't really matter, and you'll enjoy it, I'm sure. So I'm using 300 GSM watercolour. It's cold pressed, so that means it's not rough and it's not smooth, it's in the middle. Sometimes it's known as not watercolour paper. And what I've done, oh, I just have a notification on TikTok, hang on. There we go. What I've done is I've sketched out two trees, one bigger, one smaller, one further away, and a horizon line. I will be using watercolour paints afterwards, but I'll be doing the wax bit first. And really, I'm just going to be using some children's wax crayons, to be honest. Now, the way the wax resist works with watercolour is the harder you press, the more they resist when you add the paint. So that's the plan. So the further away tree, we're going to have some blossom trees and some daffodils. So if I do, it's going to be an annoying sound while I do all of this, but it's crucial. I didn't want to do it before I started, because then you won't know about the pressure or anything like that. So just be aware of the sound. So the harder I press, the more it will resist. But as this is further away, I want it to resist less than the blossom tree in the foreground. And this is just normal children's wax crayons. Now, the only downside, if you're into your mixed media, into sort of longevity of your art, is that children's wax crayons they're not light fast. But we're about to stock in the shop a new product that came out by Caran d'Ache in February that's supposed to be light fast for 100 years. And I'm going to try it. I've got a pink actually that they've given me a sample to try. We've ordered a stand of them. They're wax oil pastels, so in theory they should resist. So fingers crossed that will work. But I hope you're all right. I hope you've had a good weekend. It's been lovely weather here in the UK. Bit of rain yesterday, but it's on the turn this week. It's getting colder again. So I'm not pressing too hard for that one. So you'll see the dots are smaller. I'll put some white in amongst it as well, little clusters of white. So this is a 45-minute demo, and I'm using 300 GSM cold pressed watercolour paper. So thank you for joining me today. It's lovely to have your company. So you can see I'm twisting harder, I'm pressing down harder, so the colour is stronger. The thing about using children's wax crayons is that although there is pigment in here, you have to do it on the white paper because they are actually transparent. So if you put it on a colour, the coloured piece will show through rather than the actual wax crayon. So anybody, any age, any ability can do stuff like this. Hello, Helen Penguin. I'll be seeing you in an hour or just after for the next class. I've semi-set up for tonight's class just in case I faff. You know what I'm like. It'd be nice to have you in class with us. So, harder, more annoying dabs gives me far more resistance when we add the paint. I'm going to leave this area for trying the new item, the new product that I've got a sample of. I'm sorry about the noise. When I used to work in primary education, I once did a lesson on pointillism, and we had a whole class of 30 children making that sound. So I can sympathise, because it will be picking up on the mic, because all annoying noises get picked up, don't they? But it's lovely that you're with me. whatever you're doing this evening or this morning, wherever you are in the world. It's really lovely to have you with me. So you can see that there's actually a difference between the lighter dots that I did with the less pressure compared to the heavier dots. Oh, that was a bit of a streak. I rolled that instead of twisted it. That was a bit silly, Barry. Never mind. Right. I'll put some white. Because I will be painting as well. Amy Jane, do you run these kind of lives at certain times? Yes, they are on TikTok specifically. It is the second Monday of each month, 5:30 p.m. UK time. I don't know if I can pin a post. I have got all of the TikTok lives that I'm doing up until the end of June already out, but I've just finished the July to December ones. I only do one a month because we teach 30 odd classes here a month, so it's getting time to do free stuff that I struggle with. But let me just check. Yeah, I've got July, August, September, October, November, December. So I've got one a month. So it'll be the 14th of July, 11th of August, 8th of September, 13th of October, 10th of November, 8th of December. And I don't know about the May and June. I can't remember. There should be one on this page, I think, but I'll post it in our stories. And if I can post it as an image, I'll see if I can pin the post. I may have already done that. I'm not sure. I'm not too great with TikTok lives. I'm still quite new to this. I've been doing lives on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube for years and years, but new to TikTok. So they're the children's wax crayons. Now, what I've got a sample to try is brand new by Karen Dash. And it's the Neo Art 6901. And they are permanent wax oil pastels that are light fast for 100 years. So I'm hoping that this will do exactly the same job. We've ordered a stand of individual loose ones and a couple of boxes because they're expensive. I think they're about £3 a stick. So more expensive than wax crayons, but actually will work really well if they are good at wax resist. So we need to remember it's a slightly darker colour because this was a sample I was given by one of the company reps. So thank you, Matthew. And I said, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do with that. I'm doing a live stream on Monday. I've not used it before, so that'll be really good to see how it works. We'll put a few more white interspersed. Maybe a hanging branch bit there. I'm going to go into some yellow now. So I'm here till 6:15. I would stay longer and chat to you all because I love it, but I've got a class tonight from 7 o'clock. It's a gouache class tonight here. We're doing zebras under a full moon on black watercolour paper, which is brilliant. I'm going to go with my yellow. Again, further away. I don't want as much pressure. They will look more like daffodils once it's in situ and there's greens and everything else. I'm going to have a bit of a path coming through. So I'm pressing down a bit harder here. Oh, something's just falling off. I'm pressing so hard on my table, I'm knocking everything off. The sun is out here, it's absolutely beautiful, but I've had to close the blind, which is, I feel bad doing that. We moan when the weather's bad, and then when the weather's nice, we close the blind so we can't see it. So as I get a bit closer, I'm going to do more daffodil shapes. Because I want to take all of my time doing the wax. We need to paint. So these are just children's wax crayons. If you just joined Children's wax crayons on 300 GSM cold pressed watercolour paper. And the aim is that we're going to do watercolour on top, and then this will wax resist. So this is really, if you're really struggling to do a lot with watercolour, so you want, oh, I've just broke my wax crayon, that's how hard I'm pressing. It took me ages to find a box that wasn't already broken from previous lessons where I've done wax resist. But it's really good, because if you're working in watercolour, this does make it mixed media, by the way, but if you work in watercolour and you find that you really struggle because you have to put your lightest colours down first. I have got a video coming out, a 1 minute video coming out soon on using wax crayon to seal watercolour, but wax crayon's really good if you just struggle with watercolour in general and finer detail. I'll just do a bit of orange for some centres. They'll end up looking like little Easter chicks, won't they? Oh, I could do some white ones. Some of the white ones have a yellow or orange centre, don't they? Bluebell woods will work, blossom, lights, anything where you want a bright area, because it is much more difficult in watercolour. And it's not cheating. It's just the only thing to be aware of, as I say, is that children's wax crayons are not light fast. And the issue with that is if you wanted to sell it on or what have you. So if you're using wax crayons and you want to sell it, make a print of it instead, and that will work a lot better. I've got my Rosa watercolour paints, which are absolutely wonderful to work with. They're running out a little bit, so it's a good job using gouache tonight because I need to top them up. And a large pointed wash brush that I'm going to really soak. I'll try and limit the colours to more spring colours. So if you've got any questions, please ask, and hopefully I'll spot them in time so you can get an answer. So what I'm going to do, hopefully that's enough, is it? Oh, I don't know. How do we ever know if it's enough? Stop it. Okay. Right, I'm going to go and I'm going to wet the sky area. So because it's wax resist, you won't always see any results initially. The darker your paint, the better the resist, but I want to put a nice sort of spring coloured sky. The sky is cooler, so we're going to go with a bit of cerulean, which is the perfect sky colour for all year actually. If I was being more summery, I would use ultramarine at the top, but you can see here, look how the wax crayon is resisting. I'm going to go a bit stronger. I did this demo very similar to this last week on our other two social media channels, and I tried a waterproof coloured crayon, and that didn't resist. I had to lift the colour off. It didn't allow the colour through, but I did have to use a damp brush to lift off the colour. So I'm going to put more pink blossom in. This isn't all. Oh, so far this neo colour is working. That's a game changer because it is light fast. So we've got wax crayon everywhere apart from there, which is the Caran d'Ache neo colour, new product that came out in February. And then I'm going to put some crimson within my tree. And why I've put the wax crayon in is it's there to help and support what I've already got. So the aim is not to only use wax crayon, but it's there to give you finer details or edges. So if I didn't put too much in, it wouldn't matter. Because there's no greenery, or hardly any greenery on cherry blossom trees. It's all blossom. I've started to go over here now a little bit to make way for the other spring flowers. A little bit of water to spread that out a bit because I want that a little bit paler. It's going to mix with the blue and give me more purpley pinks. That's cool, I don't mind. So you can see here the lighter dabs don't resist as much because they don't seal the paper. But they do give a little bit of texture. I'll tell you what it's really good for as well, autumn woodlands. I've done lovely autumn leaves and you know, fallen leaves on a path. That's worked really well. Bluebell woods, as I say, perfect for this. So the darker you go, you can see where I've put white wax crayon. Because the pink is similar to the pink crayon, which is why I chose it, you can't really tell as much, and I'm really happy with that because I want subtle. I don't want it to look like I've just spent 15 minutes stabbing the whole paper with a wax crayon. You want it to be integral to your piece. Something like that, maybe. So I'm going to stick with the cerulean blue. That'll be our main colour today. And I want to mix a background tree colour for some background spring trees with cadmium yellow and a bit of cerulean. And I'll put that in. I'm going over my trees because I don't mind. They'll end up being darker. So I'm using the point of my brush. You notice how wet my brush is. The point of my brush is always facing upwards when I'm doing background trees, and that stops any harsh lines. Go a little bit darker. If you want a really darker green, because we're going to be using that later, you can always add a little bit of crimson in the mix. In the olden days when I was training, that's known as called knocking it back, where you put the complementary opposite in. And because this is wet, it'll spread about and do magical watercolory things, and it'll give me lots of layers. So this is very simple, as I say. Any ability, any age can work with watercolour and wax resist. You can do all sorts of wonderful things with it. And if I went over my tree, it doesn't matter because the blossom is there and it will stop anything from going in its place. I'm going to go a little bit darker, so more paint, a little bit more red. So I can just put a few layers in. So there's no wax in this area that I'm putting these background trees. Slightly darker horizon line. And that means I can do some nice light grass in the foreground. I love having people all over the world join me for my demos. It really is such a lovely experience. As I say, I've been doing demos online for a long time, but the rise of social media has really been wonderfully heartwarming for me, especially for someone that's been teaching art for nearly 30 years now. I did start when I was young. Fairy Fart Rainbow, hello, g'day, how you doing? You've just missed the first bit. The sad thing is that on where am I? I'm on TikTok, aren't I? The lives disappear and then you can't see them again. But I am streaming live from our YouTube channel, so if you're watching now, you can head to our YouTube channel afterwards and watch the whole thing back. I find it much easier to do it that way because our YouTube channel keeps the live stream. Now what I'm going to do here, this is nearly dry. Oxford, oh, you're only up the road from us, we're Banbury. So not very far away. Oh, you've been here for a while, oh, lovely. Now this is a Bic Biro lid. And I don't do without it ever. And I'm not affiliated with Bic in any way, but the clip is really lovely to work with. It's got a scoop and it's curved. So it's curved that way and the clip is curved that way. So what I can do, look, is I can scoop sgraffito tree trunks through. Now if I want darker tree trunks, I just press down harder with the clip and it bruises the paper and gives me darker. Because as it's spring, you're not going to have loads of foliage. But if it's too wet when that happens, then it will just totally fill back in. So they're going to stay nice and dark. You can't do this though where you want to put other things on top. Well, because it will, whatever goes on top will get bruised as well. But it's just a nice way of getting additional detail in. So this is looking a little bit bizarre at the moment. I'm just looking through the camera. But you know what? We've got to trust the process, haven't we? And as I say, if you have any questions, not just about this, but about art in general, or me, or you know what we do here at the Artery. So we are a small art shop, so we sell art supplies. We ship out all across the UK, and we have a very small classroom above. We share our building with 3 other fantastic businesses. The cafe is at the front, and the lady that runs that cafe is the landlady for the whole building, and then we rent our shop, which is out the back behind the cafe, and our classroom above. And on the top floor we have a tattoo studio run by Roger and Amy, and that's a tattoo studio and piercer. And in the cellar we have Lou, who is a seamstress, and she makes and designs clothes, so she's really busy at the moment with prom dress season. So it's a really busy building in Banbury. There's always something going on, and I'm talking to you just while I'm waiting for the paint to dry. It's a technique I've honed over the years. I'm going to put my wax crayons away as well. But honestly, it's such a fun thing to do, because you've probably got wax crayons knocking about somewhere in a cupboard, and it's a really useful thing. But now I know these Neocolour sticks work. That's a game changer, because they are light fast, and I won't have to worry about them fading. I'm just going to start with a lighter green. With watercolour you always start light to dark, so cadmium yellow again. I'm keeping a limited palette. A bit of cerulean. Oh, I need a bit more cerulean. That's basically yellow, isn't it? Can you see where I've put the yellow wax crayons down? I will be going darker, but I'm building up. I'll add a bit more blue as we get further down. And you can see as we get darker, the wax resist shows more. So we've got our daffodils in the foreground. The scary thing with the white wax crayon is you can't actually tell where you've been. So you just have to hope, with all hope, that you've actually done it right. Because there's no way of knowing. It is showing up all right, isn't it? Yeah. Hopefully I get to upgrade my phone contract soon, because TikTok, you're on a very ancient smartphone. It's about 8 years old. And YouTube, you're on the newer one today. But if I upgrade, then I can do some good streaming then. I'm going to let that dry for a second, so you can see as I'm going darker, the wax will continue to resist. I know I've got 2 trees to put on, but having the green underneath is fine, because the trees are going to be a sort of dark, murky, browny grey, and when they go over the green, it will just look a bit mossy. So that's perfect for what we want. So I'm on nettle tea today to help with my hay fever. I might do more with the blossom, but do you know what? I don't think I will. I don't think I will. So if you have any questions, do just ask. It's fine. And it's probably what somebody else is already thinking, so they'll be grateful that you've asked, and it saves them having to ask. So you can notice that because I'm working on a piece of MDF here, that's my drawing board that I paint. It should be white, but it just gets very dirty very quickly. This is 300 GSM cold pressed watercolour paper, but if you notice, I don't tape it. I staple the corners and the long side. Yes, I don't get the pretty border, but it does mean that the paper shrinks and contracts around the staples, so I don't get huge billowing cockling paper when I'm adding too much water. Oh, thank you very much, Rainbow. I think it'll look all right eventually. It's a little bit wet. If I go in at this point, that's when we get cauliflowers. Now, I do happen to like cauliflowering in watercolour, but I like it where I want it, but it's really hard to get it where you want it to. It just does it by itself. And cauliflowering is when you go in with a wet paint onto an almost dry paint, and what happens is it just spreads. For the majority of wax resist, it's just children's wax crayons, pink and yellow. On this side, it's a new product by Karen Dash called Neo Art 6901, and it's a wax oil pastel stick, and they came out in February, and we're getting a stand delivered hopefully in the next week or two, and we'll be selling them individually and in sets. They are quite expensive, but they're light fast for 100 years, so they're like the grown-up version of a wax crayon, and so it should work. But as you get darker, the wax shows through more, because if it's light and the paint is light, then it's going to be a bit of an issue. So I'm going to go in with a slightly darker mix with my Rosa watercolours. I'm using more cerulean in with my yellow. Too much cerulean and it goes a little bit emerald, which isn't very natural. So then I'll use a little pinhead of crimson to tone it down, or knock it back, as it used to be called. And if I put that over here in little up and down strokes, you can see exactly where my daffodils should be. Now, if I paint too thickly, then of course the resist is going to not resist as well. And this is fun for, perfect actually for the Easter holidays, because you can do this with young children or just yourself. Just have a bit of fun, eat some Easter eggs, paint a spring scene. You know you want to do that. So I'm going to dilute this same green just a little bit more over the back. And I'll challenge myself, I'll do everything with this one pointed wash brush. Switch it with my finger a little bit. Now the light I'm going to have coming from the right, so we'll think about path and shadows and all manner of things later. Just putting a bit of texture in the pathway. Oh, good. Cold in Devon. Do you know what? It's been a bit chilly here today in Banbury. We've kind of avoided the rain that they've threatened, but yeah, it's been lovely all weekend. A little bit of rain yesterday, but I'm glad you feel warmer just watching this. Oh, and thank you, Ange, for all your nice comments you put on my short videos. I suppose they're just called TikToks, because what are shorter form TikToks called? Just a TikTok? Because obviously on Meta you've got Reels and Shorts on YouTube. What are they on here? I've been on TikTok for a long time. I don't know, 2018. but I've only just, it's taken us a long time to get enough followers to start being able to do lives. But we have, we're close to 10,000 now, which is really lovely. So if you like what we're doing, please give us a like and a follow. Oh yeah, thank you, Helen. See you later for zebras. You'll see it, the finished form when you come back to class tonight. So I'm going to go a little bit darker. Now what I can do is if I mix the cadmium yellow with the cerulean and then add a small amount of Payne's grey or black, it will make me a more natural darker green, so I can pop it in the foreground randomly. Payne's grey is actually made from Mars black and ultramarine, so that's why it's kind of a blue grey. Beautiful, thank you. I can't read the names from where I'm sitting. I can only just about, so I'm not being rude. I do apologise, but I can't see. I can just, I've got my glasses on and I'm kind of horizontal with the phone that I'm streaming from, so I can kind of see, if I cross my eyes, the text that people are writing, but I can't read the names because they're in a paler font, so I'm really sorry. But thank you. A little bit of dark. I might have to get the hairdryer on this in a minute. So I'm here for another 10-15 minutes to chat with you and paint, and then I'll be back in May, the second Monday in May, and I'm going to be doing at 5:30 p.m. UK time a silver birch forest in acrylics. So I'll be using a painting knife for that as well. That's really good fun. I've got the bird song on, if you can hear that. It's not outside, it's a recording of bird song that we've always had in the classes. When we started going online during lockdown and we moved all of our art classes online, then I added bird song to help calm everybody down, and now I just have it on all the time. I have it on in the shop sometimes because it makes me feel calm as well. So you can see it's still repelling. Now there are no greens in trees that in cherry blossom, but what I might do is just mix a slightly deeper blossom colour from crimson and cerulean, just to show that there's a bit of wax resist in the trees and that the light is coming from the right. I'm making this up, this picture, so it doesn't matter. So when I make it up, I often have either light from the right. It is the English blackbird mainly. He's very, very noisy. Sometimes when I've got it on quiet, I can't hear it, and then I turn it up and then the flipping blackbird comes squawking away. And oh, should have kept it on quiet. Right, once I've got those blobs in, I can clean my brush, dry it off a little bit so it's not as wet, and I can soften that in. So you can see there where the wax resist is really working, coming into its own. I might put a bit more defined crimson up here, but I don't want to do too much. Just got to be mindful that we've got trees and things to put on. No, and let me just stand up so I can run away from the humans. Your coloured pencils offer a good resist as well. They don't really. I tried in my demo that I did on Facebook and Instagram last week. I did a similar scene, and I used the Caran d'Ache. Let's see if I can find it. I've not abandoned you. I've just the other side of the room. Let's see if I can find my picture as well to show you. whatever I've done with it. Well, I say they don't resist. They kind of resist. So I was using the Swiss Colour water-resistant colour pencils, and I thought, ooh, that's a really interesting... I can't remember who asked me now, sorry. A really interesting thing, how will it work? So what I did was, it's a similar scene you can see here. I did those in the crayon. Now what happens is that you can paint right over them, but they repel enough that you can lift off the paint on the top, but it doesn't give as neater edge as the wax crayon. So coloured pencils kind of can, but you've got to press down really hard and really concisely, you know, really blocking the area, and that will mask the paper in a way, but you will have to lift the paint off it with a damp brush or tissue a later date. Oh, I forgot I got pink on my brush then. You got me for a few more minutes. I am going to get the hairdryer in this. I don't want it too hot though, because I'll melt the wax crayon. So a bit of noise for a minute. Just so I can speed this up. Because I can only really stay till about 1:15-ish. Because I've got to get ready for tonight's art class here. Let that dry a little bit naturally. The thing when you use a hairdryer, now you may not have used a hairdryer before, and you may not have thought about it, so I'll tell you what the problem is. When you use the hairdryer, it dries your paint beautifully, but if you use the hairdryer and then go straight in with your paint, your paper is hot, so it will dry much faster whatever it is that you're putting on. So let your paper cool down before you go back on with the brush, otherwise you'll struggle and it won't give you the same results that you normally expect, because you're working on hot paper rather than room temperature paper. So just be mindful of that when you do this. Right, so I've got quite a bit of green, various greens mixed on my tile. If I add a bit of burnt sienna to that, I'll get a nice swampy green, a bit of brown, so I can paint the tree in the background with some daffodils going in front. So what I'll do is I'll put some branches on, add a little bit of Payne's grey in there, put the branches on, but what I'm going to do is, as I get further up into the blossom, I'll do almost perforated lines, so it feels like the branches are through the blossom, so it's more dense. I'll do more to the tree later. I know there's not a huge amount of later left, but it's important to chat about. So you can see where I've done the daffodils, I can have them growing up the tree. I think this is an older cherry tree and there's some squirrels that live in here. So far I've only used one brush, and this is a size 2 wash brush by Pro Arty, a wonderful British brush makers. I've had this for years, but it's still got a really good point on it. I'll go a little bit darker on this side, so a bit more Payne's grey. Oh, thank you. Oh, Angie Meakin, thank you very much. Yes, very far in bed. The brush is excellent. This is sadly, it's a squirrel brush, but they've now brought out a vegan version which is just as good and half the price, so even better. So what I've done is I've cleaned my brush, squeezed it dry, and that means not totally dry, but I can lift out some highlights on the tree in the direction where I want my light to come from, which is the right hand side. If your brush is too wet, it won't do anything, it'll just add more mulch to your paint. If your brush is too dry, it also won't do anything. But by doing this, you see, you can push branches back Oh, thank you, Ange. It's a pleasure. It's what I'm here for. It's my job. Or what part of my job, anyway. You see, it's kind of working now. What I need to do, I said I'd put a path in, didn't I? Let's go in with a path. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the path at the bottom. And the reason why, it's the same colour as the tree, the reason why I'm starting at the bottom is that I've got more intense colour. And as I get further away, it will lighten as the paint hopefully runs out. This is where the badgers have a stroll in the mornings. Go a little bit darker, bit of Payne's grey, bit of burnt sienna, because even though the light is coming from the right, the dark side of the path will be on the right hand side because it will be slightly furrowed and worn. So it will be casting a little bit more of a shadow on that side. Put some shadows on in a second. I'll have to get the hairdryer back out again. Oh, you're all very kind to me, thank you. I've staggered it, otherwise it can look like a bit of a weird carrot. I'm going to quickly make a slightly dark green for, that's more of a blue, for the foreground, just a little bit, just to sit those daffs in a little bit more foliage. Now you can see that some of the wax has caught some of the paint, and what you can do with that is just leave it a day or two and then come back and just with a clean damp brush just wipe off any excess over the wax crayon. Now I'm going to get the hairdryer on again, so a little bit of a noise for a second, so then I can put some shadows on the ground. Call it a day. So I'll go in with some cerulean blue. The to swirl everything on my palette together really, but mainly cerulean blue and a bit of Payne's grey. Because shadows, or maybe a little bit of crimson as well, because shadows are kind of a purpley grey. And that works quite well. So if that's my light, then my shadow is going to come across the pathway. And I've got my wax resist, so that works really well. And shadows tend to ground everything. There might be a shadow from a tree that's off the page. The daffodils will be casting shadows. Could add a bit more shadow on that tree there. Shadows are the things that people are often too scared to put in, but actually they are what make a picture and give you the contrast that you need. This is Watercolours, Pango. Marco, thank you very much. These are watercolours, but these are wax crayons. Unfortunately, if Jackie was here, she is fluent in French. She lived in France for a while. She'd be able to talk you through it all. But unfortunately, my French is very, very basic. Aquarelle. And wax crayons, pink, yellow and white wax crayon. Do you know what? I'm going to call that done for today. So we've used a very limited palette of cadmium yellow, cerulean blue, burnt sienna, Payne's grey and crimson to create this. And the wax crayons. So remember to put your wax crayons down first, because you need the white paper to act as the highlight for the colour, and then you can really play. The harder you press, the more the resist. But this area I'm very impressed with, and they are the new Caran d'Ache Neo Art Light Fast for 100 years. I'm glad I've ordered a whole stand of these now, because I can really make good use of them in watercolours. I think they come in about 70 colours, so that will be really interesting to see. So thank you so much for your company. Oh, thank you, Angie Meakin. That's very kind of you. Oh, do they, Marco? Ours were like this, but they've kind of just gone over a little bit now. So I'll be back in May, I think the second Monday in May, 5:30 p.m. UK time. And I'm going to be doing a silver birch forest in acrylics, and I'll be showing you how to use a painting knife for that. So thank you so much for your company. Take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and why not give it a go? See you later. Bye-bye.